Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of our podcast. And today I have a special guest, I think the youngest guest until now. Now, the podcast isn't that old yet, but it's still amazing to have Alex Edwards on the show. Hello, Alex.
Stefan, how you going?
Good, good, good. So, just to clarify to our audience, you are the owner of an agency. The agency is called Amplify Copywriting, and it's an agency that provides marketing and copywriting for e-commerce brands to massively increase their sales with email campaigns and automations.
Exactly right. Yeah, that's correct.
Perfect. And yeah, it's amazing that I reiterate here that you're so young because you're 21, right?
Yes.
Oh
Yeah,
my,
just 21 years old.
that's actually, yeah, congrats actually. I wouldn't say crazy, but it's congrats because I don't know a lot of 21-year-old guys that have their own agency. And maybe a lot of them think that, or listeners or the viewers would think that this is not possible. He's just 21. He can't have his own agency. Come on, that's crazy. I think, I don't know, but I think you get that response quite often sometimes if you tell people that you're 21 and you have an agency. What would you say to them?
Yeah, like in terms of just to clarify the question, do you mean what would I say to the young people, or what would I say to the people that are a little bit older and questioning?
Well, you can look at it the both ways, I guess. You can look at it, yeah, like what do your peers say? You know, what do they
Yeah.
say? Hey, Alex, what are you doing, man? You're just 21. Enjoy your life. Why an agency? What would you say?
Yeah, look, I get that a lot. A lot of people, even family and friends, saying, "Alex, what are you doing? Why are you working on weekends? Why are you working so late at night on holidays?" Look, at the end of the day, it's the reason that we work so hard now is so that we have that freedom, that flexibility later on in life. I'd rather put in the work now so that when I'm a little bit older, I can take my foot off the gas a little bit, have something fantastic, and really allow myself to bring my family and friends along for the ride. So, yeah, that's why I work hard now.
Cool. Yeah, that's the best answer, I guess. Was it always something that you had in your mind, like, I want to build something for myself. This is my future. I want to build my own future.
Yeah. So I've never really enjoyed working for other people, and so I guess in the back of my mind, I knew that I wanted to build something for myself. I don't think that I had the confidence when I was younger to do that, or I didn't necessarily believe that I was capable of doing that. But at the end of the day, life's about taking risks, and I took that risk, built my first couple of small businesses and failed, but, stayed persistent. And then finally, I started building Amplify and just was ruthlessly persistent with building this. And we've managed to, start seeing a little bit of success. So yeah, it's just about staying persistent, really.
Yeah, cool. And what do you say then to the older generation, like your clients, if they get on the phone with you? I mean, what do they say if they see you or if they hear that you're just 21? Now, I guess you don't just mention just like, hey guys, I'm 21, how are you doing? But what do you get as a reaction there?
Yeah, a lot of the time, I'm met with a little bit of doubt from older clients. Being completely honest, people obviously, they want to know that their business is in good hands, and so there's not really anything that I can say to them that's going to magically, give them confidence in me. The only thing that I can do is show them that I know what I'm talking about. And so what does that mean? It just means I need to go and educate myself. I need to get better at what I'm doing, constantly refine what I'm doing, and just be always learning. And that way I can show people through my actions and through the results that we deliver that, that gives them confidence in what we do. So again, there's nothing I can really say to them. I just have to show them with my actions.
Yeah, exactly. The results speak for itself. If you really show what you're capable of, people will follow.
Yeah.
You say in our the answers to our questions here before our show, like you want to build a company that changes the way people go about marketing. Can you explain me a little bit more? What do you mean by that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I think, look, in terms of marketing, a massive focus for me is like specifically direct response marketing, really, which often, throughout history is like very much in your face. And I think that there's a lot of slimy and not necessarily great tactics that people use just for the sake of getting conversions and making the sale. Now, I'm not a fan of tricking people or manipulating people. I think that you can still make sales and have a massive amount of conversions with ethical marketing and just being completely open and honest and transparent with your customers. So look, for me, a massive focus is trying to get brands that same level of growth and that same massive amount of sales without compromising on brand values and integrity. So yeah, that's a huge driving factor or driving force for Amplify, myself and the people that we look to hire.
What is like an example that you can tell me, like the difference between how it's done in a slimy way and how you would tackle it? Like for one of your customers that you had, how do you break that perception then?
Yeah, so look, I guess if we take a lot of online courses, for example, like the make money online scene, a lot of the marketing is very much like people go and they will hire a Ferrari and they'll be throwing money at the camera and everybody's seen those ads. Yes, that can sell a course, but I think that in all honesty, I think you're probably attracting the wrong attention doing that. And then if we take, somebody else who's in the exact same industry, one of my coaches, he has no ads like that at all. He has a very high ticket program and he's signing up people left, right, and center because he's just being completely honest with people. He's saying, look, you're not going to become a multi-millionaire overnight. We're going to take it one step at a time. And he breaks it down into a very realistic system. And I think people really appreciate that honesty. No one wants to really be told that they can make, millions of dollars overnight because nobody actually believes it. I think if you just break something down and be completely honest with people, you can still sell. You just need to show people how it's done. And again, show them your results. Don't just sit there posting like Stripe screenshots and throwing money at a camera. I don't necessarily think that's the best way to go about things.
Oh God, I've seen a lot of those passing by over the last couple of months, screenshots from Stripe accounts and stuff like that, and also from e-com stores that show those results. But the thing that they forget, and a lot of people get tricked by that, a lot of people that are new to the business, I would say, and I got tricked as well. Like if I see those screenshots, they don't tell you the whole story, right? They don't tell you, okay, this is a nice revenue, but what is your profit? And if you then think about the profit, it might be what, 10%, maybe 5%, maybe more or less, but that's like nothing. I mean, I wouldn't get out of my bed just for that kind of amount of profit. So that's always like something, So like you said that you help e-com brands, right? So a lot of e-com brands that are starting out, they just want to get rich quick. Is that a fair statement? How do you, I guess those are not your ideal customers, or do you still help those? What do you say to them?
Yeah, so I think a lot of brands, of course, nobody really wants to grow slow, and especially if you're putting a lot of money into setting up an e-commerce business. Like it really does cost a lot of money a lot of the time, and so of course they want to make that back as fast as possible. They want to grow their customer base and get their product out to as many people as possible. But the truth is, you need to have the basic systems and structures in place to be able to handle that growth anyway. And so, with what we do, for example, we help you set up your email marketing if you don't already have it set up, so that you can really maximize as much revenue as possible, right? If there's no point, if you're having hundreds of people a day abandoning your checkout, and you don't have an abandoned cart sequence set up, well, then you're just losing so much revenue. So it's about really getting those systems in place to generate as much revenue as possible without having to go out and spend, thousands and thousands on advertising. Because if you're driving heaps of traffic to your store, well, you're also getting a lot of people bouncing, and you want to be able to capture as many of those people as possible. So again, it all comes down to just having those systems in place first before, you focus on like hyper growth.
So how do you go about implementing those systems with e-com brands? What is your process? How does it look like?
Yeah, so for me, it's really just about seeing what they do and don't have. So I've noticed that a lot of brands will just use the standard Shopify like templates for their email sequences. They'll have just a generic abandoned cart sequence, and then that's about it. And some people don't even have an abandoned cart sequence. So for me, it's just about going in, looking at which email sequences they have set up, or identifying any areas where they could set up a sequence to maximize revenue, whether that's through an abandoned cart sequence or an upsell or a cross-sell sequence, or even just setting up a welcome nurturing sequence when somebody opts in for like a 10% discount or something. It's just seeing what they do and don't have and trying to identify areas where they could be like increasing their revenue.
So can you give me like some examples on what you do different in terms of copy? Because copywriting itself is like, they always say it's a skill. If you have that, you can earn a lot of money with it. So if you're really good at it, you can make some changes. You can really have an impact. But for you as a copywriter, what do you put in place? Like what's a great example of good copy compared to mediocre, the standard stuff that e-com brands do or use?
Yep, definitely. I think that a lot of people, when just because they're in business doesn't mean they're excellent at every skill. And I see a lot of people who will write their own copy and they'll write what sounds good. Or if it's the founder that's writing it, they do have a little bit of bias toward their product. And so I feel like they're looking at everything through rose-colored glasses, and they're not realizing that perhaps, just because their copy sounds good doesn't mean that it's really speaking to their ideal clients. And so what we do is we have what we call our Amplify process. And basically it's a process that allows us to really dive into your audience and identify, what are their triggers? What are the common objections that they have? What are the questions that they need answered? What do they need to know in order to have that confidence in you and your product and your brand to be able to actually buy from you? Once we've gathered all that data, like voice of customer data and, different things from scraping the internet, once we have that data, it allows us to craft like really quite powerful and hyper targeted copy that really speaks to your ideal clients or customers, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. It doesn't matter if your copy sounds amazing. It doesn't matter if it's witty or if it's funny. If it doesn't really call out your ideal customers and like kind of almost pull on their emotional strings a little bit, nothing's going to happen. So I think that's the biggest thing is I just see people writing something that sounds good, but it's really about just connecting with your ideal customers.
So how would that work actually? If I'm thinking about if you really want to have that personalized touch on every copywriting email that's being sent out automatically, right?
Yeah.
How does that work? What kind of software or system do you put in place to make sure that it is so personalized and so right on the spot?
Yeah. So the first thing that's really important is segmenting your email list. So you don't want to just be sending the same email to every single person on your list, because it's, people, they get onto your list for different reasons. Maybe you've got a lead magnet, maybe, you've given them a discount here, or you've given them a different discount here. And so you want to be able to segment your list to write more targeted emails, because, half, or maybe not half, but some of your list, they've already bought from you. Some of your lists buy from you, very frequently, and some of your lists haven't bought at all. Some of your lists read your emails. So being able to segment your list is super, super important so that you can write emails that are the most suitable and the most accurate to whoever you're talking to. Really, really important, because you're obviously going to talk to new customers, people who haven't bought from you, very, very differently to how you talk to repeat buyers. So I guess, first and foremost, if that's something that a store isn't doing, it's incredibly important to segment your list.
So would you say that is something that your agency makes you different from others, being so deep into the details, being so analytical, but also ethical? That's also a big one for you, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think for us the big difference is, first and foremost, obviously we really put integrity first, like before anything else. And I know that like that might sound a little bit counterintuitive, like we should be putting conversions first, but I
Mhm.
find that if you're really upfront and open with your customers and you're just giving them a real solution to a real problem, those conversions will come. And oftentimes, they can absolutely dominate someone who maybe not using the best marketing strategies. The other thing that I think makes us a little bit different, and in terms of what you were saying before about being analytical, I don't necessarily think that we are as analytical as other agencies. We're more focused on the copywriting, which I personally think is a bit of a difference. There's a lot of email marketing agencies who really focus on, the tech side of things. But for us, it's really about connecting specifically to your dream customer and getting as many people to buy your product as possible through our copywriting. So I think that's what makes us a little bit different.
So how long have you been in the agency actually, Alex?
Yep. So in terms of building Amplify, we have only been an agency since last year. However, in terms of copywriting, I've been doing this for a number of years now, and especially e-commerce copywriting. I started my first e-commerce business back at the start of 2018.
Mm.
And so actually writing copy for e-commerce stores is something that I've been doing for a number of years now. So yeah, but as I said, with Amplify, we started last year, transitioned from me just working on my own as a freelancer to actually starting to build out a team of experts.
So what really made it for you the shift towards building that company? Like, how did you make sure that you can become that owner instead of just being the freelancer within your own company?
Yeah. I think, look, for me, it was realizing that I can't really grow much more on my own. Like, I can take on a couple of clients, but it's very, very easy to hit a ceiling and limit your
Mm.
growth if you're just trying to do everything yourself and wear every single different hat. And I realized that growth really comes from taking on other people's skill sets to handle the things that I'm not necessarily great at. I can serve more clients. I can make a bigger impact. I can, focus more on my mission of like really changing the way people go about marketing. I can do all of that more if I just, pull my ego aside, realize that I'm not great at everything, and, be willing to let go of the reins a little bit and have other people come in. They've got their skill sets. I've got my skill sets. And if we put them together, we can build something really great.
That's awesome. That's awesome for you having that realization already at that young of an age. But I guess you didn't do it alone. This was something that you had somebody that could guide you towards your current situation.
Yeah, that's correct. I definitely didn't do it alone. I've had a lot of help along the way from various different coaches and mentors, books, courses. But for me, the person who's had the biggest impact and who's provided the biggest help in my growth is my coach, Jason Fox. He really helped me transition from being just a freelancer charging like $60 to $100 for a project to getting to where we're at now, charging quite decent amounts, and really, yeah, he really helped with that transition, with my rates and my confidence and systems and everything.
So this is really something important. I mean, this is what I told you too before our live session here, is that it's so important that you don't do it alone, or you don't try to do it alone, because there's you always have to have that somebody along your side that can guide you towards the right kind of destinations, towards the goals. Because if you're trying to do everything on yourself, you're just so much into the business that you don't even see what's going on around you. And especially if you start growing like you did. So this is super important for people to grasp. If you're building your company right now, how big is your team right now? And what is your coach telling you to really focus on, or to pay attention to if you're building out that team?
Yeah. So for me, on my team at the moment, we're not a gigantic agency. I've got two VAs. I've got 2 copywriters, just part-time for the moment. And then I've got somebody as well who just helps with the finances, just on the back end, behind the scenes. So small agency for the moment. And the main focus that my coach, Jason, is helping me with is just really getting my systems dialed in so that I can handle growing more. And the biggest thing is really dialing everything back and being as simplistic as possible. One focus, one niche, one service. And that's really allowed us to grow quite a lot. It's allowed us to increase our revenue. It's allowed us to really focus on, one specific customer and dial our message into one specific customer. And that's been insane for me. I didn't necessarily realize beforehand how important it was to have a coach, but after working with, and I'm still working with Jason now, you've got somebody who's already been there, who's already done that they've made all the mistakes and they've managed to come out on the other side. And by hiring a coach and working with a coach, they're able to basically upload those same systems and strategies right into your business, and you can skip that learning curve. So, for anybody that may be considering a coach, but is like, mate, I don't really want to make the investment, you're going to save so much more money by hiring a coach. You're going to save time, you're going to save stress and energy and hassle. It's honestly one of the best things, if not the best thing that you can do for your business.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Of course, maybe that's because I'm a coach as well, but it's just true, it's just true. Why wouldn't you take advantage of other people's skills and knowledge that they already have to help you forward? So, yeah, it's also cool that you say that you simplify processes and that's a massive focus for you. So, besides having the one offer and one niche, what other processes are really important for you and your company to have as a foundation that, if this is right, if this foundation is there, we can scale beyond whatever I thought would be possible? What kind of processes would that be?
Yeah, so I guess one of the big ones for me was actually, outreach, making sales and speaking to potential prospects. When I started working with this coach, I was trying to find people on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on Instagram. I was cold emailing, and I was trying all of these different things, and I wasn't tracking what I was doing, so I didn't really know what was working. And so the first thing that we did, and I'll be honest, I need to get way better at tracking. What we did was we got a specific tracking sheet for all of my different KPIs that I need to be hitting, and just need to track that every single day. Stop focusing on every single different platform for outreach. Pick one platform. It's really just about picking one of everything. Pick one platform, pick one form of outreach, and just be consistent with that, for a decent amount of time to figure out if it works for you or if it doesn't. Track that so you can actually measure your results. And if it doesn't work, then pick a different platform, or maybe pick the same platform and slightly change up your outreach a little bit. It's really just about measuring things, but not making such instrumental changes constantly. Stick with something, be consistent with it long enough, and measure it to be able to see whether or not it's working for you. If it's not, slightly adapt it. If it's not really not working, then you can make a bigger change, but do the same thing. So that was something that was really helpful for me, was just dialing everything back and just doing one thing at a time.
Yeah, that's perfectly said. What we do as well within my coaching program, which I help agencies, and I come from a corporate world where we were using agile principles, and what you just described is actually being agile, having one focus, and each and every day or week you pick a focus and you see what works. And the thing that works, you keep doing that. The thing that doesn't work, you change or you adapt.
Yeah.
And that's so massively for a lot of people. They see the light suddenly, oh, wait, I only have to do just one thing at a time. Yeah, because if you're spreading too thin, you're not hitting anything, right?
Yeah.
But I also imagine, I'm thinking you're a copywriter. And if there's one thing that I have learned through now the years and and last couple of months of outreach to different platforms, you have to create compelling copy. You have to create
Yes.
compelling content. So is it fair to say that it is easier for you than for others because you're a copywriter?
Look, I think that yes, I think that good copy definitely does play a part in outreach. I've definitely helped people refine their outreach messages before, and that's helped them, get more clients that will get more meetings. But I think that it also just comes down to, copywriting really is about selling, but when it comes to outreach and, getting prospects on the phone, it's really about like, first of all, finding out if you can even help them.
Mm,
And so, ultimately, like, yes, I could write the most compelling outreach message, but that doesn't really get me any closer. All that's doing is just getting people to want to work with me, but they might not be a good fit. And
mm,
so it's really about finding like, does this person's needs really align with what I can help them with? If not, well, there's no point in getting them on the phone because I can't help them anyway. So, I mean, yes, good copywriting does play a part in outreach, but a really massive focus for me is just figuring out like, what are your needs? Can I help you? Because if I can't, then, I'll give you a bit of guidance if I can, but we're not going to be a good fit to work together.
yeah, that's great, great. Yeah, 100% agree with that. Indeed, otherwise you're just wasting your time and other person's time. And it's about being authentic as well. It's like you said, being ethical but also authentic, and making sure that you actually are helping the people in what your knowledge is. So yeah, I believe in that 100%. um, if we're talking about like next couple of months for you, you're just starting out this whole journey. What does it look like? If you think about growth and scaling your agency, how does it look like?
Yeah. So for me, the next couple of months, everything we've been growing month on month. It's been fantastic because we've just been hyper focused on,
Mm,
just really, really focused on what we're doing. And so the next couple of months for me, I can't see us slowing down. I can see us, taking on more team members and growing even more. And I think that, the longer we go on, the faster we're going to grow. It's going to be like a bit of a snowball. And obviously there are going to be, there are going to be roadblocks in the way, and there are going to be different things that try and stop us.
mhm.
But as long as we just really stick to our mission, we're just going to keep doing the same thing, growing, getting better, constantly learning, seeing what we're doing, seeing how we can improve. And the more we do that, the faster and the better we're going to become. So that's, yeah, the next couple of months for me, that's exactly what that looks like. Just sticking on the same path that we're on, and just, slightly adjusting as we see fit.
And you're not really scared that at a certain stage you're going to be overwhelmed, overworked, even burned out?
Yeah, look, that's definitely something that comes into play, and I guess that's why I'm always looking for new people to take on board. When I did try to do everything myself, that's exactly what happened. I was
Mm,
working such long days, and I did get burnt out. I got burnt out a lot, and then it got to the point where, for a period of time, I completely resented what I was doing, and so
mm.
that was a big indicator that I can't do everything myself. And so, yeah, if it gets to that point, then it's probably time for us just to step back a tiny little bit, because it means we're probably doing something wrong, and we probably need to take somebody else on, to be able to fix that little area of our business so that we can keep moving forward. I mean, we'll get to a point where we're feeling burnt out, and it just means that we're hitting a ceiling. We just need to figure out how to break through that ceiling and keep going.
Yeah, because you mentioned as well that you saw other businesses really crumble down under that pressure and under that growth. So this is something that you can take to learn from, I guess. But what was it that they didn't have that you have?
Yeah, so ultimately it was having, they were really, really good at outreach. They were able to take on a lot of clients, but they didn't
Mhm.
have the resources or the capabilities to handle all of those clients at once. They had a very in-depth, I won't like name names, but they had a very, very in-depth service offering, and it sounded fantastic. And, it was easy to get people on board because it sounded great. But when they took on too many people, they weren't able to handle all of those clients. They had to,
Yeah.
process so many refunds, just because they couldn't deliver the service that they were promising. And so, yeah, it's really about having those foundations in place. Yes, I'm getting heaps of clients. Can I handle that? Can I handle taking on more clients? If not, can I hire somebody else to help me? And if not, then I need to really kind of reconsider what I'm doing, because this just isn't working. So I think that getting those foundations in place first to be able to handle that growth and handle that scale is super, super important.
Yeah, exactly. I believe that as well, that it is so important. The foundation is everything.
Yeah.
You can't build a house on a weak foundation. You can't build a tower on a weak foundation. So make sure that foundation is there. So you have that setup. You have the foundation. Everything is going well, growing, growing, growing. What would you like people to say or to think, who is Alex Edwards in a couple of years from now?
Yeah, look, I guess I really want to obviously be synonymous with Amplify, but I really want people not so much to be looking at me, but looking at our brand as a whole. And I want people to think, as soon as they think of us, they know, wow, like these guys really know what they're doing. They really care about their clients. They really care about delivering great results ethically. And I just want, I really want to build something that's synonymous with ethical but dangerously profitable marketing. That's really important to me. I'm happy, me personally, staying out of that limelight, being the crazy business owner that a lot of people aspire to be. I really just want to build a solid brand that people trust and people believe that when they work with us, they're going to get fantastic results. So that's something that, I'm always striving for.
So what would your friends say if they see you in 5 years from now and they see you massively successful? Will they regret not being the same kind of tenacity and working style that you had?
I don't think so, because I don't necessarily think that entrepreneurship is for everybody, because obviously, like massive growth comes with massive sacrifice. And so, maybe in 5 years, personally, I'm doing very well, like say financially, and I've got these nice things, and I've got this big company, but that means that I had to sacrifice a hell of a lot. My relationships probably struggled to get to that point. I sacrificed a hell of a lot of like my own money to be able to grow this business. I sacrificed a lot of time with my family, couldn't go to parties, couldn't, really go out with friends. And so maybe, while I've got those cool things in the future, all of my friends and family that were with me along the ride, they got to experience that time with family that's just as important. They got to experience going out with friends. So I think that there are two sides of it, that I don't think either one's better than the other. It's just personal preference.
But I guess us entrepreneurs know that this is really the lifestyle that we want, right?
Yes.
This is what feels right for us and what makes us happy and what makes us having the purpose to help other people, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's, as I said, it's not for everybody, but it's, if you're an entrepreneur, because you're putting in these long days and, you're constantly under stress and you're constantly under pressure, but you love every second of it. And yes, there are moments where you're doubting yourself and moments where you're like, oh my, like, can I even handle this? But at the end of the day, there is nothing else in the world that you'd rather be doing. And so all of that stuff, no matter how difficult it gets, it's always worth it. And you always push through and find a way to get through it. So you're absolutely right. For an entrepreneur, like, we love this stuff.
Yeah, 100%, absolutely. And it's amazing to see somebody like you, Alex, that young of an age, already having that mindset. It's amazing. And I see a bright future for you and your company. Where can people find you if they really want to work with you?
Yeah, so I guess the best place to find us is on our website, which is just amplifycopywriting.com.au.
That's this one, right here.
That's right there. I mean, for anybody that may be watching this on Facebook, click on my name and start up a conversation with me. You can find me on Facebook, just Alex Edwards. And in terms of getting in contact with me, my email address is just alex@amplifiedcopywriting.com.au. So it's just my domain with my name before it. That would be the best way to get in contact with me.
And you still have some capacity to take on more clients, yeah?
Absolutely. We're always looking to take on more clients.
Awesome. Well, I want to thank you, Alex, for your incredible story today, for your time. And I wish you all the best. And let's catch up at a later stage, maybe in a couple of months, and see how far you've gotten, your company and yourself. And looking forward to it, my man.
Absolutely, Stefan. I appreciate you having me on. It's been an excellent chat, and I'd love to chat as well in the future.
No problem. See you then, my man. Bye-bye.
See ya.